This is Christy York Wooten, and welcome to the Sweet Song Podcast, where we talk about your favorite songs and the artists who write them. On this week's episode, Curnin of The Fixx. Welcome to the Sweet Song Podcast. I'm Christy York Wooten, your host, and today I've got Curnin, one of my favorite all-time songwriters, singers, philosophers, alchemists, you name it.
Hello, Christy. How are you?
Thank you so much for doing this. It's
My pleasure.
Yeah. So everybody knows you from The Fixx. You've also done solo work. I want to talk about all of it today, as well as kind of what you guys are doing now. You're heading out on a tour. You want to tell us a little bit about that first?
Sure. Yeah, we're kicking off our little summer excursion. Rather hot to be traveling around the southern parts of the States, but there you have it. Kicking off in Florida. First show's on the tour. First opening up for UB40. Is it UB70 these days? I don't quite know. But we're opening up with them, and a couple of outdoor shows I just saw. So I'll be in the sweaty lame costume this time round. Doing 4 shows with them, and then we kick off on our own merit, doing the 2-hour set. After that, across Georgia, Alabama, Texas, all the cool spots.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And if you get too hot, you know, I hear nowadays they make those like quilted coats that have like the little cooling gel.
Yeah.
Just put them on.
Yeah, I've just been reading a book by, I forget the guy's name now, but he talks about these earth suits that it's set slightly in the future, where everyone has these big, massive cooling suits on, and it has like a chimney at the top to let the heat out.
We're not far away from that right now.
No, we're not. That's the scary thing, isn't it?
So what does it take to get The Fixx back on the road? I know you guys are often out in the summers and everybody's doing their own thing the rest of the year. So how does that work? What kind of efforts does that take to get everybody together?
Well, actually, we'll come, as soon as the whistle blows, we're there. We're doing 3 tours a year now, kind of spring, summer, and then we've got this little thing called the Christmas tour, Fixmas tour, that's become a really fun thing to do because we discovered people are really in a party mood that time of year, and it's just a soft, sensitive time. In fact, we'll be... a couple of years ago, we released a song called Winter's Time on digital only. Now we're going to be releasing it this year on vinyl for this upcoming Christmas tour. And it'll be available November 2nd for pre-orders, I think. So it'll be good for people to, a sneaky gift.
That's right. Is it going to be like red or green vinyl? White?
I'm not quite sure what the elves have got planned, but I know it's a 12... excuse me, I keep banging the mic. I know it's a 12-inch, so it's going to be this big. And it's got a good image on that, and it should sound good because it was mixed for vinyl.
That's going to be
so
cool.
It'll sound really good.
Vinyl is really big, and people are selling records again, which is so needed. But let's talk about how touring has become a necessity for folks. So many artists, not only financial reasons, but to be with their people. I mean, I think right now, both for the musicians and the fans, being together means so much.
Yeah, it's all about that. I mean, there is no community online. People talk about this online community. The only community is skin to skin or eyeball to eyeball or in the same room as people. That's the only community I know. We all grew up with that. And so for us in the band, the biggest part now is to just get out there and give people a reason to come out of their dystopian headspace and come into a room where there's something that they can trust. And the person standing next to them, they don't have to disagree with anything because they all agree is why they're there. And the music is something that takes them back before the time that we're living in and into the present, which is very important too. So for us, it's the audience that holds the power. We're like, they shine these 5 colors into our prism. We capture the one light and then we power it straight back to the audience. And that's our gift, if you like. We're able to convert a mass energy into a headspace.
And I love what you said about trust, because I think right now, when people don't know who or what to trust, information, politicians, you name it, but they trust, they can trust the artist, I think, to a certain degree, as much as they remember or know the artist over their lifetimes. But they always trust the music, and the music.
Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. There's 2 words I keep hearing around now. There's narcissism and there's empathy. And there seems to be a real shortage of empathy and a real epidemic of narcissism, whatever those terms mean. And in trying to bring people back to what trust is about, when you start to believe lies and you start to become underwhelmed when you realize the lie was just something to lead you on, and then you become disillusioned, and then you become apathetic, and then you just give up. Whereas empathy is not so much about what you're getting out of it, it's what you're putting into it, which takes an enormous amount of courage to be compassionate. And it takes a lot of courage to sort of stay positive and wish hopeful thoughts for people, not just yourself. And so we're all battling in that world. And 2 years ago, the word was resistance, but now it's turned to resilience. Can we take it? How much longer can we take it? That's kind of the message we're going out there. The temperature's been turned up, truth, fact, blurry. We're living in a world where narcissists are our leaders, and narcissists attract other narcissists, and they're all up there on the stump and banging on about things that are just going to crash and burn. My personal thing is, how can you be so foolish as to think that there's no change in climate right now? Whether it's man-made or not, there is a change going on, and we have to get ready for that storm. And yet they're talking as if, no, doesn't exist. So, and I could go on, and I probably won't go on too much because I could rant forever.
No, I agree with you. And it's frustrating, but I think that brings us back to the point of why just making art is so important right now. I think the artists are so courageous. I mean, we won't get off on that tangent too far, but what Brian Eno's doing with his concert for Palestine, Paul Weller's done a show, just artists speaking out about various topics. I know there were several artists also, I can't think of exactly who I saw right now, who were talking about environmental issues, things like that. Artists are our courage right now, because I think the general public is not speaking up about anything. And it doesn't even matter which political party you view yourself aligned with. It's how you view yourself in the world. And,
Right. I think that why artists, they have to do, they have to put it out there. It's cathartic for the artists. Artists put things out to heal themselves. The byproduct of that is other people get a free healing session out of it, whether it's visual or audio or spoken word, whichever artistic element, how the human condition reflects on itself and tries to push away the demons that will come out of this darkness if you let it. So we have to keep an eye on the fact that artists do things for their own sake. They just open windows. It's like an advent calendar. You never know what's behind it. Just open it up and little gift here, little gift there. And it will take you out of your own headspace for a minute. And it allows other things in. And in that split second, you can change your point of view,
I love the advent calendar as a metaphor there. That's really good. So, one of the reasons I've always admired you as an artist is that you on stage, or people know the music of the Fixx, and they know you get kind of dramatic on stage sometimes, and you guys always have the good lighting. And yes, I've seen some pretty dramatic moments on stage from you guys. Like, what I appreciated was, like, during the pandemic, though, I think you did a live stream where you were playing piano or something like that. That so struck me about that, putting yourself out there in that vulnerable way to do that. And I know you've done that with your solo work and stuff too, but especially at a time like that, I think it showed people just a totally different side of you, and where maybe where
that was nerve-wracking. It was harder to play in a room of no one there than it was to play in a room of 3, 5, 10,000 people, because you just had to keep it together. It wasn't about what the applause I was going to get back or the energy. It was just keep it going and know it was out there. And luckily I could see the little comments zooming around, but I was trying not to pay attention to those because they kind of put you off too. So I just had to go for it. And I needed to do that just to shout out. If you put your heart in the right place at the right time, it connects. And I was very pleased with the results of that.
Yeah, it was lovely. That still stands out in my mind as one of the things. Tim, my husband, and I watched it. It really stands out as kind of one of the things that we thought was very special during that pandemic time. So thank you.
Great. I'm glad that happened that way.
Yeah. So how do you view yourself on stage, and has that changed over time with the Fixx? I mean, front men always have an idea about what they're going to do when they step out on a stage.
Yeah. Well, I'm more relaxed with the fact that people aren't watching me every second of every note of every breath I'm taking. So there's time to just float around and deflect. And in that relaxing, I'm realizing that the other guys are hugely important to the sound. And so it's one of the greatest pleasures of my life is to spend 50 years with these guys, almost, just doing what we love and watching them doing that. And how they've grown and relaxed, and how, like a fine wine, it seems to be drinking much better now. But I realize that the audience they're very loving. And as much as I could get angry about humanity in the sort of soundbite world that we live in, when I'm on an audience, I just want to just hug everyone, because they're there just like hungry birds, hungry baby birds for something. And you're just landing down with this fresh piece of food. There was a photograph from a gentleman who took from the inside of a Punch and Judy theater. He was inside the box taking photos of the kids whilst they were doing the Punch and Judy thing, and their faces were just like, so open. And that's how I see the audience, as just open for anything. And so, if you've got the lyric, you've got the song, you've got the mood. The drama comes from trying to emphasize certain points, and the characterization of things. It's like, just help the song along a little bit, give it a bit of drama. Why not? We're on stage. It's like the moment. If I'm just going to stand like a post, you might as well listen to the record.
That's true. And about being together 50 years, I mean, you can tell, especially when you guys play, that there's that kind of unspoken, I mean, you gel, it just feels very natural. And also, one thing I appreciate about the Fixx is I feel like you never got off the rails with trying to keep up with whatever the latest fad production was. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that for the artists who need or want to change like that with their sound. But I think looking back now on all the catalogs, the fact that you all have stayed true to you really makes the whole just seamless now. When you look at all the work, it's the Fixx through and through. And a lot of people, every 5 seconds, I will find myself listening to that record as much as I will the older material as well. And I think that's a testament to that, is that you guys just yourself.
Yeah, I don't even know that that's what we try to do. It's just all we want to do. I mean, we're very aware of all the different kinds of music out there, and there's a lot of it I really love, the whole EDM stuff and the way production has taken certain artists into different headspaces. I use that word a lot, headspace, but that's what it is to me. But for us, it's a platform of what we do. We use certain colors, charcoal artists, we're pen and paper, we don't use too much digital gimmickry. We do record using all the ways of capturing sound, but we don't manipulate or feel the need to do that. We kind of, and as you point out, we'd like people to see it as a continuum from the last record to the first record that we released. There's a sort of not a change in style. It's us, and maybe there's journalistically or philosophically, there are changes with the backdrop of people's lives. But why would we change for the sake of change? If I lost my voice, maybe we would change, but who knows? Or if Jamie lost a finger.
God forbid.
Yeah, touch wood.
God forbid. But, so when did your sound first gel? I mean, I know you go all the way back to the late 70s, really, but when did you know that you had it?
It happened in an instant, really. We were auditioning for the guitarists. Preface that with the fact that each time when Adam and I formed the band, every time a member would leave for one reason or another, that we'd push them out or they decided there wasn't enough in it for them, we would realize we had to get more serious about what we were doing to attract better people. So we'd be selling ourselves big time at the auditions as much as the person coming into the audition. It was like, a chemistry. You're looking for people that you could grow with. And so by the time we were looking for a guitarist, we had Rupert, we had Charlie Barrett, we had Adam, we had me. We had a sort of an idea of how we were doing things, but we were missing a certain thing. And then when Jamie came in, after we'd had about maybe 10 guitarists coming in, and it was literally something not quite right, he just came in and it was just the sound of the Fixx was born. The way his intonation, the way the confidence, his choice of notes, and it fits so perfectly with Rupert's kind of soundscape world that it was a palette of color that created a universe for these. The words became like constellations in this sky this sound, this sunset or whatever it was we wanted to call it, red, blue, very visual. It became very visual. I looked at Adam and we went, yeah, that's it. And from that day on, it started to click. We wrote like 10 songs in a minute, and then we were gigging within the end of the week. And then Rupert Hine came along and got a publishing deal, we got a record deal. Everything started to really fly forward when the sound happened. So we kind of knew we were on to something.
And that Rupert Hine era too. I mean, that's so important to that sound. But can we just, I mean, I'm always bragging on you and I'm always bragging on the Fixx, but can we just talk about how underrated Jamie is as a guitarist? I feel like he's up there with the best, especially of that decade.
Yeah.
But I mean, just so underrated. I mean, he's just phenomenal.
Well, as Jamie would say, it's better to be underrated than overrated.
Well, that not be true, but I just throw that out there.
Yeah, he's a musician's musician, and the way he approaches his chords and the way that we've managed to write songs with him. I'll write a little song on a guitar in my pajamas I don't wear pajamas actually, but the house. And then by the time I've lent it over to him, it's just a different thing. It's just like taking a piece of wood and turning it into a pencil. You can start to write something with the pencil, and amazing fellow and everything else. I mean, Dan Brown now is a consummate bass player too. He is such a lyrical player. And then that in itself leads to Adam's bass drum foot that follows the bass in a very lyrical way. So it creates a different kind of energy. It's not just going for the 4 on the floor obvious thing. It's like sculpted in a beautiful way. And then Rupert's like, the Wizard of Oz on the top there.
And that's another thing about the Fixx, because I always view a lot of the music that was being made in the late 70s, early 80s, when groups were first coming out with their first few albums, coming from sort of this rock family tree of either being influenced by sort of the Kraftwerks and the electronic things of the world, or being first influenced, kind of like the Beatles were, by some American soul and later rock and roll, and even some sort of like atmospheric things like 10cc and things that were going on. That kind of the tree. And I feel like you all kind of bridged the divide on some of that, as well as a few other artists.
Well, because we were inspired by all of that, that huge breadth that you just described. We were inspired by all of it individually, but we knew as a band we weren't going to chase any one particular influence, but it's only natural that those influences are bubbling away in there in the back of your mind when you're looking for a part, or when something is grooving and it reminds you of something. All those influences are playing in your head. And so we get very broad palette in the band we have.
So I want to switch gears here a little bit, because I want to ask you, because I always think of music, and you mentioned kind of wizardry too, of like how you bring all the layers together. But what do you think overall about I think there's a detriment of AI and artificial intelligence to, album making, at least in the traditional studio sense, but in other applications as well, of people taking someone's distinctive voice and then just making music out of it. I mean, what are your thoughts about all of that?
Well, I think it's horrible, the artistic plagiarism. I'd rather hear somebody who's croaking naturally than a perfect AI, perfect pitch, perfect this, that doesn't even understand or know where the words that it's saying came from, or didn't live the life, or felt the pain, or just was a machine just glossing over it all. That said, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The AI has a really good place to calculate nuclear fission, medical advances, sorting out a ton of things that we'll never be able to think our way out of without it. So why it has to pick on the art? Because that's the most easy way you could sell it to people for them to be okay with the rest of the thing that's going to be robbed from them. Take the art. It's like taking candy from a baby. Here, listen, you can invest. Why don't you just write your own song? Just write the word "the" and let the machine put the way whatever it is. And suddenly you're a poet just because you typed in one word into ChatGPT. No. Or just because you played 2 chords. And I have done it. I've played around with it and I've been horrified by what I did is I dragged one of my finished songs into one of these not ChatGPT, but an AI program that finishes songs for you. And it gave me 7 different versions of my song and made it sound like everyone else but me. And I thought the only use that I could find for myself would be if I was trying to sell that song to one of these ingenue artists around today, I go, oh, that sounds like so-and-so. I'll send that version of them and I'll claim that copyright because it was mine originally. And then off you go, cover that. And I'm imagining where the people will be going, oh, I'm just a songwriter with my style, but make it sound like, you know, whoever they are, Maria Grande or somebody, or make it sound like that, send it off to her and she'll fall in love with it and cover it. No, she's probably doing the same thing with her starts too now. I don't know where it's going to end up, but, you know, it's like originals and lithographs. What we will always have is authenticity. We crafted this, we perform it live on stage. There's 5 guys playing those parts. AI will never be able to do that. So piss off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And the word craft, I think, is the key to it all because songwriters are craftspeople and crafting usually involves hands or something human like that. And AI may be useful for a lot of things, but it can never do a craft.
Yeah, it seems to be it will be bullying art to, I don't know what intelligence. I mean, we've got artificial intelligence and human stupidity is what we have in the debate right now. Hopefully we could switch that around where you get artificial stupidity and human intelligence back on top, you know?
Okay. That's the next Fixx album title, Human Intelligence. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We are going to get to some songs here in just a second, but I wanted to, for folks maybe who know your songs and don't know all your story, give me some of the Fixx's favorite moments, either on stage or like working with Tina Turner, different things that you've done that are kind of highlights.
So many. First one was probably, I talk about it with the Day on the Green, 1983, September, I think, Oakland Bowl. We were on tour with the Police and there were a few other Madness, tons of tours. Anyway, we were going on right before the Police and there was a food fight going on in the audience. People were throwing paper plates during one of our songs. First time in the Bay Area, someone gave me, hey, try some of this mushroom omelette. Oh, I'm like, great, I'll try that. Well, by the time I was in the middle of the set, I was like, these paper plates were souls, and it was just a sea of souls being thrown in the air. And it became quasi-religious. And Rupert Hine was there taking pictures from the gantry because he was excited that his band was starting to really rip it up in the charts. And he came down and said, "Si, that was quasi-religious." And I said, "And you saw that too?" He goes, "Yeah." And he was straight. He wasn't on the effects of mushrooms as I was. So I was like, "Wow." So that's a moment I really cherish. And there's moments where a song, the meaning of a song means so much to someone at the backstage door that gives you insight into your own song. Saved by Zero, I'm talking of particularly, that song has seemed to connect with so many people on different levels. They have their own different version of it, that it is all of those things. And it's almost like the life of Chuck, this movie that's out right now. It's all happening in my head, but all those meanings are like extensions of this universe that I was trying to exist in at that time. And it kind of got out there. So I'm very proud of that. And then probably the last time we were on stage, looking out across the guys, just having a blast in the middle of a song. I don't know what song it was now, but I just remember thinking, this is awesome. And we were just so grooving and I transcended. I was just, I didn't know where I was just lifting off. So more of that, please.
Yeah, it seems to be so easy nowadays which is ironic in a way, but to stop and have those sort of moments of realization or gratitude, and you're just overwhelmed by it. When maybe before all the last 5-10 years, it would have been a little harder to break the routine, to just stop and be aware of the awe of a lot of things. So you were in awe of your bandmates and,
Yeah, because, what it is that we're not in this competition anymore. We don't care about what chart position we're going in this week, last week, next week. We don't care how many big records we're going to sell. It's, how many bums on seats, definitely. And if they're there, it's if not now, when, that never-ending moment that is a life.
Yeah.
That is and I think that's where gratitude, or, when I'm sitting there about to say something preachy or mean, everyone has their own story in that room. Everyone has their own take, back to that Saved by Zero thing, and everyone has their own slight interpretation of things. You don't want to ruin it for them. You want to expand on it and take it further and allow them to leave that room with a really good feeling And then maybe they won't whack their kids when they get home, or they'll tip the babysitter a bit more, or they'll be friendly with each other outside, and it'll just keep going on, you know?
Maybe in the show, you should give each person in the audience the responsibility of knowing that they're going to be part of that prism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, they know it. They know it by the end. And I just basically, my main thing is to remind men that there is, to get them to the manosphere, you had to get through the matriarch sphere first, because there ain't no man on this planet that was born immaculately. He came through a woman. So it's really this crazy patriarchy that's bubbling out of weakness and lost causes and burnt out, whatever it is. And it's down to the feminine in us all to really rise up and understand the power of the prism.
Thank you for that. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
All right, one more quick question before we get into songs. So I did want to just talk a little bit about Mike Peters, because I know that,
Oh, yeah.
you were involved with Love, Hope, Strength, and we were all, I know you did some climbs in different places in the world and concerts. And, I was lucky enough to be there with you all in Vail for that one. But
Right.
can you reflect on Mike a little bit?
He was like the hardest working man in show business. And if it took the sword of Damocles over his head to get him out of bed every morning and keep pumping, that would be one thing. But at his funeral last month, the eulogies from before he knew was sick, he was already born to be that guy, the motivator, that never say die, that just whatever it takes, just keep going. And that was a gift that he gave everyone that knew him. And I thank him for that too. I don't think I would have ever made solo records in the way that I do without having been around him and seen how simple it can be. And, empathy, altruism. When he first asked us to climb Everest with him, Jamie and I, we were both, that's exactly the kind of thing we need right now, where we were in our lives. Kind of like the music business was shifting. We were like, what do we do? Do we keep going? What's going on? And he came along and said, this is what's going on. You use the name you've got and you do something good with it, and you just get out there and try and raise money. And we did. And he was an awesome chap, but he still is an awesome spirit. And he was well loved. When I went to the funeral, his little village that he lived in, thousands of people turning up. And he's buried in this little century chapel grounds. It was like somewhere like mid-earth, I thought it was like a little hobbit. A fantastic guy.
Yeah. Thank you for that reflection. My husband and I, both of our brothers, who are different ages, but were huge Alarm fans. So we were Alarm fans by proxy growing up. But of course, getting to know Mike in person and how hard he worked, not only on his own health and life, but just how inspirational he was with all of that. And that you all were as well, by just joining. And that climb, especially the one that did the little documentary, the Everest climb, I remember when that came out, was a really big deal. People seeing like, wow, these are these bands that I love, and they're doing.
Yeah, it was really a big moment in a different time. I guess from then to now, those kind of sound bites don't make the same kind of noise.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. Well, let's shift gears to songs. So being the Sweet Song podcast, I usually ask folks to name their favorite. I hate to use the word favorite, but what is their sweet song? It doesn't necessarily have to be their favorite song. It needs to be something that you wrote, something that mattered to you or mattered to others in a way that surprised you. So what do you think your sweet song's going to be?
I think it's probably a song called Cold. It was on the last album, only because it was a way I was able to really say what I meant in a way that I'm known for being quite cryptic, but in that song, I think I was sort of stepping through the fourth wall and really revealing that it was about someone and something specific, and the emotion that follows with it really connect in a way that leave me drained after I've sung it. And I know that that's why it owns me when I'm in it. So it's like and so it's become a template for everything I want to do since then. And it's really fucked with my life, because now that's really hard to do you can't just do that whenever you feel like it. You really need the fire for the phoenix to fly. And I can't keep going around crashing my life to get the best song out of it. But part of the artist goes, why not?
Right. It's that all or nothing, because I can experience that when I'm writing as well, or people who write books talk about that as well. Like it's kind of this all or nothing. You're in it. I think about the film about Mozart. Do you
Yep.
remember this? And it was called Amadeus, and just between Mozart and Salieri, and just everything was all or nothing, and they had to create. So it sounds kind of like that. Cold must be that song for you of just
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are others, but that's the one that, and we don't put it in the set every time. It kind of comes in it. Well, it hasn't been around that long, so it doesn't appear that often, but it's become the template for what I want a song to feel like when I'm singing it.
Well, there's so many Fixx songs too for me that maybe people wouldn't guess. I mean, I love Wake Up. I mean that I think that's one of your best songs. I love that. It's very simple, but it is, one of those. And another song is I know that I think someone else wrote the lyrics. I can't remember, was Secret Separation.
Jeanette, yeah,
Yep.
Jeanette Obstoy wrote that.
And but that song is one that just, I don't know, it's something about the intro with the guitars and everything, and
Yeah.
it's got a circular motion to it that
Yeah. It's like a pendulum. It's very mesmeric. And I think Jeanette really nailed the sort of sentiment. It's one of those stage door songs where people come and say, I fell in love with my partner to this song. And it's an interesting duality that the song's called Secret Separation, but people come together. And so maybe it's about when the final separation comes and somebody moves on and passes on, and keeping this love in a sort of a separated states of existence. She was very much very powerful way of writing those topics. She was good at that.
Yeah, and Shaman is another one that I always go to. I know that's kind of more of a pop melody in that's so
Yeah.
easy to put on repeat. Like if I had that on 45, that would be one of the ones you just keep putting the needle back.
Yeah. And that's a great song live. People don't quite
I
know
love that
but by the
live.
time the chorus hits them, they're like, oh, yeah, that's a good song. It's like it's got a lot of different things from different eras, but it has a really strong chorus. So undeniable, really.
Well, final song. Which song in the world do you wish you had written?
Is there life on Mars? Or any Bowie song, really? He was, we're lucky to have been alive in the time of Bowie. And I really miss him to this day, but he left something massive. And his way of telling stories seems so disjointed until you recognize the thread. And then, Young Americans, for example, the documentary or the sort of view he's got of American culture in that song is just it's cryptic, but it's so right on.
And also, I'm Afraid of Americans.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot
you really want to get the self-hate out.
So, I mean, that song, in the video that had like Trent Reznor in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm assuming, since we're talking about this, I think you and I are on the same page with this. I feel like when David Bowie left this sphere here, he took something with him. I'm not saying it's his fault that everything went crazy, but that moment in time, the day that he left us, is the day that the world forever changed.
Yeah, he took space in between heartbeats with him. People don't give pause to, hold on a minute. There used to be this third view, this third way of looking at things. Now it's just left, right, before they're all bloody marching down. But it's where we're headed is where we've already been. Don't we know?
And see, I think what you were saying is that Bowie kind of provides, because it's a third way, it's that otherworldly. It's not even from here.
Yeah, the power of art. He was the Warhol of the ear. He kind of pushed the sides apart and allowed you to go, hold on a minute, guys, just shut up. Let me enjoy my headspace and he turned a boring living room into a fantastic gallery. No matter where you were, you had him on. You were like, oh yeah, this is doable.
Yep. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Cy, for joining me and spending all of this time.
My
pleasure. I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks, I'm sure, here in Atlanta. So that will be great. And tell everyone else hello. And,
I will.
We'll look forward to it. Thank you so much.
I look forward to singing in front of you again.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care, Christy.